Hi everyone, this is Miss Elisa. This is Unit 3. There's a pizza under my bed. Okay, in this unit, we will see the grammar, the vocabulary. The grammar will be preposition of place, there is and there isn't, there are and there aren't. And then the question, is there, are there, some, any, plural nouns, and the vocabulary will be house and furniture. Okay, so the vocabulary, house and furniture. The rooms in a house, the bathroom, the kitchen, the stairs, the living room, the bedroom, the hall, okay, the hall, the dining room, the office, and here again, the kitchen. Now, the bathroom. In the bathroom, we can find a mirror, a bathtub, a shower, and this is the toilet. In the bedroom, we can find a bed, a closet, a dresser, and a shelf. In the dining room, we can find a table, chairs, and curtains. In the kitchen, we can find a stove, cupboard, a sink, and a fridge. It's also called refrigerator, but it's more common to find it as a fridge. In the living room, you can find a sofa, a lamp, armchair. In the office, you can find a desk, a bookcase. Okay, in this case, you can also find a computer, a lamp. Now, what about the grammar? We're going to talk about prepositions of place. Okay, preposiciones de lugar. On, in, under, next to, near, between, behind, across from, and in front. Now, there is, there are. Okay, there is when we're talking about one. There are when we're talking about two or more. For example, there is a book. There is a cell phone. There is a bottle. There is an apple. There is a cat. There is a woman. There are, we're going to mention it for two or more things. There are 2 oranges. There are 3 people. There are papers. There are. Okay? Now, let's see. Here, okay, I'm going to show you a video. Okay, listen. There is a living room in my apartment. There are 2 sofas in the room. Okay, there are 2 sofas in the room, 1 and 2. So we're using this new structure. There are, and then we're using also the vocabulary words of furniture and house. So 2 sofas in the room. Okay, there are. Hay 2 o ahí hay 2 sofás o 2 sillones en la recámara. There is a table between the sofa. One sofa is under the window. If you can notice, we're mentioning the prepositions of place and we're mentioning there is and there are. Okay, so we're using those 2 phrases from this vocabulary, okay, in a normal situation. Okay, There is a lamp behind the sofa. There are bookcases in the wall. Okay. There are pictures on the wall. There are. Okay, when we are mentioning two or more. There is with one thing. There are with two or more. Okay, so we already mentioned as an affirmative. There is, there are. And there can be also the negative. There isn't, there aren't. But there are also questions. Is there? Are there? Okay, for example, here in negative. There isn't a pen on the table. There aren't any pens here. There isn't any juice in the fridge. Now, questions. Remember that in affirmative goes first, there is a cat on the chair. And to make the question, we're gonna change it. Is there a cat on the chair? For example, is there a bed in the living room? Yes, there is. No, there isn't. Are there chairs in the dining room? Yes, they are. No, there aren't. Now, when to use some and when to use any. We use some in affirmative sentence. For example, there are some books on the table. There are some papers on the couch. And for example, in any, we use any in negative sentences and yes, no questions. For example, there aren't any books on the table. Aren't any. Okay? Why? We use any because aren't is already a negative. We don't put two negatives. So we use this negative aren't and the word any. Okay? There is, there isn't, there are, there aren't. For example, there is a banana on the table. There are 3 oranges on the table. There aren't any strawberries. There isn't a watermelon. Now, remember, singular, an apple. For example, there is a book. And for example, there isn't any books. We don't use it, okay? There aren't any books. Or there isn't a book. Let's see now. Okay, plurals. Apples, for example, we say there are some apples. We don't say there aren't any apples. If we say no, sorry. Here, if we say that there are some apples. If we want to say there are no apples, we say there aren't any apples, okay? So, if it's affirmative, there are some apples. If it's negative, there aren't any apples. The same here. If we're saying that there is one, there is a book. If we're saying that there's no books, so there isn't any book. Okay? This is kind of confusing. Let's check about. Okay. Is there a poster in your classroom? Yes, there is. No, there isn't. Is there a door in your classroom? Yes, there is. Or no, there isn't. Are there any windows? Yes, there are. Or no, there aren't. So these are the two answers, okay? Short answers. Acuérdate que estas preguntas de sí o no va primero el verbo to be y la respuesta puede ser sí, sí hay o no, no hay. Okay? Now, for example here, are there any chairs? For example, are there any chairs? Yes, there are. Is there a bedroom? Yes, there is, because I'm asking for one bedroom. Are there any animals? Look. No, there aren't. Is there a sofa? Yes, there is. Is there a stove? Yes, there is. Okay, now the plurals. We use plurals. We add an S, okay, on most of the nouns. For example, bed, beds, lamp, lamps, game, games, day, days. But there are some words in which it changes, okay? For example, when it ends in S, X, double S, CH, or SH, or with O, we add ES instead of only S. For example, bus, buses, box, boxes, class, classes, lunch, lunches, okay? Now, pay attention to this. When the noun ends in a consonant, we take away the Y and we change the Y for I and we add ES. For example, country, countries. Quitamos la Y y le agregamos la IES. Okay? The same in baby, babies. Okay? There's also a variation. For example, shelf, we take away the F, we add VES, shelves. Wife, wives. Now, these also, they are irregular, okay? For example, man, men, woman, women, child, children, person, people, foot, feet, mouse, mice. Okay, in this one, it changes the whole word, okay? Aquí en estos irregulares cambia toda la palabra al hacerla plural. Okay, this is a little game that we're gonna play in our virtual class. So, we're not gonna work with this. And that's it. That was Unit 3.